let's get down to the nitty gritty. You see the thumbnail, you see the title. So let's talk about black women lying to each other. This is going to get interesting.
Don't get mad at me. I'm just saying what you can't say. You feel the same goddamn way I feel.
So if you haven't heard or haven't seen already, there's a viral clip that's going around with Ebony K. Williams and Iyanla Vanzant talking about bus drivers. Let me just play the clip so we can have some context to my crazy perspective that I'm about to give.
Many of us are doing like we're doing, Iyanla. We're getting those terminal degrees, those JDs, MD, PhDs. We also are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, along with Latina women in America. Pew Research said that women are now out-earning men in 22 of the largest cities in America, including where I live, New York, DC, LA, you name it. When we talk, and I know that you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man. So I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Iyanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I can build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver. So I think some of the criteria that we look for in the reality of today keeps us unhappy, keeps us angry, keeps us imbalanced. And then when the men show up, we want to beat them up because they're not living up to our standards and criteria. And it's not working, beloved. It's just not working. So it's not that it's bad or wrong. It's obsolete.
It's not that it's obsolete, Dr. Iyanla. Let's call it for what it is. It's classist.
My man talking.
It's classist. We try to act as though this is a conversation about preferences and hypergamy. And this is just one conversation of many. Ebony K. Williams is just one of many. This isn't about preferences or hypergamy. This is about classism.
Talk! Well, you know I ain't lying. Black women something else, man.
We've gotten to the point with these conversations and these types of women where there's a fine line between hypergamy and classism. Men in these conversations and these arguments don't have a problem with her preferences. You can have whatever preference you want. Men already know that women are hypergamous. We already know that. The argument comes when there's condescendence towards men who don't fit the preference. That's where the classism comes in. A lot of these women don't realize they're just classist, but they think they're hypergamous. Hypergamy is wanting to marry up or be in a relationship with someone who has either the same or higher status. But classism is when you have a negative attitude and stereotype towards people that you think have a lower status. When the insults and the tones change towards men who aren't of the status that she is on. Why do you have to talk to him or about him a certain way because he doesn't fit your preference? What's with the negative energy? Where did that come from? What happened to no thank you? You could have easily said, no, it's not for me. No, thank you. No disrespect. It's not for me because I live a certain way and I appreciate drivers. I appreciate whatever the job may have been and then move on from there. But no, you have to add sauce, which is what a lot of women do in these conversations. They add a lot of sauce. They start to remind me of someone who like walks through the mall and then go through the food court, right? And there's a person at the food court who's kind of offering people free samples of the food. And instead of you saying, no, thank you, you have to say, no, I don't eat that. I don't eat nothing like that. What I look like? Do I look like I'm fat or something? Like, why are you giving? Like, it's all this extra sauce and attitude for what? Nobody asked you to explain anything. It's the negative tones and stereotypes that ends up creating the argument. And you come across as classist instead of hypergamous. We just don't call it that, but that's what it is. The same way we try to cover up misandry with feminism. We're covering up classism with hypergamy. Ebony decided that she wants to respond to the critics and to the people who had reactions to her video.
So when I said that I would date the bus owner, a lot of y'all heard something different. Some of you heard the following. Bus drivers are whack. Bus drivers are broke. Oh, and I'm too good for a bus driver. The only thing is, y'all made that part up. See, I said what I said. But then some of y'all started talking about salaries and hourly wages, pensions and benefits. And that's wild because I was never talking about money at all. I was talking about Black ownership. But some of y'all made it about money.
Now, to give context, if you don't know, Ebony used to be a lawyer, right? So if you don't realize it, you have just been gaslit. This is gaslighting 101. And to be a lawyer, you have to know how to gaslight well. I don't think anybody knew she was that good at it, to be honest. Hell, Tory Lanez, if he would have hired her, he probably would have won the case because she would have been able to flip everything back on Meg Thee Stallion. He might have won. She tells everyone that they tripping for what they heard in the previous clip and took what she said out of context and said that she wasn't talking about money at all, even though the entire context of the conversation was about money. And it was her question when she talked about providing and availability and status. She tried to make it seem like it's about Black ownership. The mentality in the video, I'm gonna put the link in the description box. She goes further into saying that she believes as though women are being taught to settle for less as a product of white supremacy, and that nobody understood exactly what she was talking about when she said ownership. Now, if she decides to deflect everything, then that's on her. But the double down of what she was saying pretty much proved my point about classism and the unapologetic attitude that comes with it. She could have literally said that she misspoke. Nobody would have blamed her for it. But no, everyone just misunderstood. Now, let's talk about the availability part, right? Because that becomes a part of the conversation as well. There isn't enough available men in the pool. There isn't enough qualified men who are in that position.
What do you think the challenge is that women are having, Black women in particular, when it comes to becoming a wife?
Keeping it 100,
Yes.
There's not enough eligible Black males who fit the needs of Black women.
So she kept it 100, but let's keep it 1,000. A lot of these same women who are in these conversations talking about availability and eligibility and qualifications, a lot of these same women, they've already been with or had the same men who they say aren't available multiple times, and it still didn't work.
My man talking.
They talk about there isn't enough men financially who fit their preference, as if they don't meet any of those men and they never come across them. These same women have been with more 6-figure, 7-figure men than most other women, and it still didn't work out. These 6-figure, 7-figure men that they talk about, they've been on dates with, they've been to restaurants with, they've been on vacations with, they've been in relationships with, they've been engaged to, married to, have children with, and they still don't work out. It's not like they don't have access to these men that they say aren't available or that they say is in a small pool. They've been in the pool, swimming in that pool multiple times. You heard Ebony K. Williams herself say she's been with them all. So how unavailable are they really if you've already been with them? You've been with more of those guys than most women have ever been with. You talk about the pool being small, but you've swam through the pool already. So who is really the problem here? Is it the small pool or is it the one swimming in it? So now we try to project and tell other men that they're not advancing fast enough or in a social economic status enough to be able to make the pool larger just so you can swim more, even though the ones you've been with in the small pool, it still didn't work out.
No, you know I ain't lying.
And it's like, how many more of the percent men do you think is out here for you to keep experimenting and doing trial and error with? The thing about it is, the more you swim in the small pool, the more your name is in the streets. That's the part that a lot of them don't realize. When they talk about her being in the streets, they ain't just talking about running the streets. They talking about her name also being in the streets. If the pool is small, you think the guys don't know about you? They saw you walk in a room. They don't want nothing to do with you. They heard about the divorce. They heard about your ex. They heard about the kid situation. They heard about all the other stuff that they heard about it already. So then some of those men, it's not that they unavailable, it's that they make themselves unavailable to you. I feel like I'm getting a little too real, but whatever. A lot of times we know who she is before we even meet her. Then when we finally meet her, we act like we don't know who she is. Oh man. It's not that nobody's compatible with your lifestyle. It's not that. It's just you. It ain't got nothing to do with his status. It's just you. It makes plenty of sense. It don't have nothing to do with their status at all, because even the ones that had the status, you had them and it still didn't work. It's just you. We try to make it seem like it's about numbers and statistics when it's really just about personalities and character and values. That's what it's really about. It ain't about numbers and statistics. It's not about availability and eligibility. It's not about none of that. It's about personalities, character, and values. Nobody ever want to talk about the fact that they fumbled the bag. They never want to bring it up. They just act like there's not enough bags and don't never want to talk about the bags they fumbled. But then let's go into this other conversation that happens, that circulates around. I want to talk about the ego of settling down, because this plays into all of it too. Like, don't settle down. A lot of women be taught, don't settle down, don't ever settle. You hear it a lot in conjunction with preferences. And when they speak about not settling, part of me understands it. You shouldn't settle. You shouldn't settle for something that that makes you miserable, that makes your life worse, that isn't something of value, that adds value to you. You shouldn't settle for something that is demeaning to you or devalues you. Part of me understands it, but another part of me thinks, not what more do you want? What more do you think you're supposed to get based off of the person that you are? That's the first thought. The second thought is, do you think that you're the only one that's settling? This is when I started to talk about the ego. Why do you believe that you're the only one that's settling? For some strange reason, well, I do know a reason. I'm about to get to that reason in a second. But a lot of women think that men don't settle. Part of that reason is because men lie. Men are good liars. Or should I say, tell a lot of good lies. A good lie is something like, you don't look fat in that dress. A good lie. Good lie is, yeah, your hair looks nice. It's a good lie. She may know he lying, but it makes her feel good, so it don't matter. He know he lying, but it makes her feel good, so it doesn't matter. A good lie. A lie that talks someone up. You talk up about them. Or you talk up to them with a lie. It's a good lie. My thing is, you believe all the good lies? When he tells you that you're everything that he needs and wants in his life, that you're 100% everything that he needs, you believe it? You believe the good lie. Nobody is 100% what someone else wants, because 9 times out of 10, you're not even their first choice. Men settle every day. Men just understand or have a different comprehension of contentment for some reason. Men become more content a lot of times in knowing that this isn't all of what I want, but I'm content with it. I'm not going to get 100% what I want, but I'm content with what I got, and I'm happy with what I got. But for some reason, a lot of women believe that they are everything a man wants. When they used to tell men, you need to settle down, right? You hear that growing up. Men hear that growing up. Boys hear that one day you need to settle down. It's not about just settling down and not running the streets. It's about you need to find somebody to settle with. She ain't going to be like all these other women, but you need to settle with one. If you don't know, now you know. You might as well settle because men settle with you. That's just the reality. But that's all I got, man. Leave your comments down below. Leave your perspective down below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Peace out.